Driver, start your engine! In the beginning, stock cars outran the police to deliver the hooch to our ancestors. So sweet. Are you ready for a trip down victory lane, where Richard Petty's winnings were insane and Dale Earnhardt put everyone to shame? Canadian Junior Handley is in the Hall of Fame. Live from Haldeman County, it's time for the Driver in Deep podcast. Are you ready?
Welcome once again to Driver in Deep, brought to you by wingnutsports.com. And thanks for joining us for episode 43. It's Mark here, and I'm with Alex, my co-host. And boy, Alex, this is a real quick turnaround this week.
It is. 2 episodes in 1 week, man. There's sometimes we can't do 2 in a month, so this is kind of unique.
But 3, we recorded 3, they're just going to drop over 2 weeks, yeah.
Fair enough. But hey, listen, we're fortunate enough once again to have another race team that wants to announce their plans for 2022 with us. And of course we said yes. So here we are. You know, I expect a lot more info coming out for the race fans over the next while, like racers and track schedules will be coming out. Some are out, but the rest will be dropping here soon. Plus, I'm looking forward to some Pinty series announcements. I think that there's a bunch of stuff that's going to come out regarding that series soon, so that's all exciting. But also, did you happen to see the big news out of the U.S. this week with Track Enterprises buying the Championship Racing Association, CRA to most? CRA, I believe, has 5 different series under their umbrella and have been around for about 25 years. It looks like Track Enterprises have some big plans.
Yeah, absolutely. I read the press release, and you're right. It does sure seem like they have some big plans. And, you know, ultimately it looks like there's going to be a lot of people now working together to hopefully make the sport better.
Yeah, Bob Sargent, who I mentioned there from Track Enterprises and his group, along with several different sanctioning bodies, have been doing some joint events in the past several years and look to be working towards a national program.
Yeah, I really think this is exciting news by Track Enterprises, especially to already be laying the groundwork for a national super late model tour in the U.S. You know, I can't help but to think also what this could mean for both the U.S. and Canada. Earlier in the week, you know, we mentioned that we had Kyle Steckley on. We discussed the synergies with Kyle and the similarities between late model cars here in Canada and in the U.S. And I also remember from my days at Jukasa, for the Nationals, we had cars coming from all over Canada and also a bunch coming from the U.S. I think you mentioned on the previous podcast, Texas, Georgia, Florida, even Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah, you're right. All those places and more. 60, 65 cars to those events. So there's definitely huge opportunity.
Yeah, you know what? I'd like to play, it's a 60-second clip from episode 9 of Driver in Deep that was last March. And this is a conversation that you had with J.R. Fitzpatrick about that very idea for Canada.
So we talked about the cash car thing, the ultimate, in my opinion, and had that national tour, right? Had the Western product, the Eastern product, and then ultimately the national championship. I think we're close, man. I think with some work. What do you think about a national late model tour?
I think, obviously, we're having the same dreams tonight, Alex, because I went down the IWK 250 in 2018, which, if nobody knows, that's a big race in Nova Scotia. And they have an amazing class out there, the Pro Stock Tour, which is a late model. And I took my car that I have here, that I raced Flamborough with, and I ran top 5.
Yep.
And I put old crap shocks on that they race there, but that's all I changed. There's an APC car. I just put cheap shocks on it and went down there and raced. And I've always said, if we could somehow connect all the dots, and at the end of the year, you have, you know, one big race with everybody, man, it would be huge. You'd have, I'm not joking, 80 cars.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I remember that conversation like it was yesterday, and JR's right. You know, we said we had 60, 65 at the Nationals, so to have 80 across the country, I think to have something like that is very doable. like the guys at Track Enterprises and all the other people that at all the other different series, it takes some work, and a lot of people have to, join in, buy in. And I've had a lot of conversations with a bunch of different people across the country, and I can tell you there is an appetite. And, I didn't just pull that out of my what that day. It's something that I've thought about for quite some time, and I believe that it's going to happen.
Yeah, that would be unbelievable. And, I'm just saying that with these like-minded ideas and maybe plans happening on both sides of the border, maybe one day a North American late model champion. What do you think?
It's possible. If the super late models are the same cars basically with different engines, but
yeah.
It's definitely doable. There's also a big pro late model contingent in the U.S., and that's the cars that we have here in Canada for the most part. So, yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I think, first steps first. The U.S., they've been working on it for quite some time, like I had said, behind the scenes, and it's starting to come to fruition. And, first off, I guess for me, I'd like to see it happen here.
Right.
And once that starts to happen, those conversations with those folks down there I talk to some of those folks now, but once they see that, what the potential is here, then there's definitely a chance for that. I agree.
Yeah. And you know what? Here we go again with more news on our non-newsy podcast. But this is pretty big in the news right now. I want to know, Alex, what are your thoughts on the trucker convoy that's going on right now in our country? I understand we don't get political on here, but this is pretty big.
Well, that's shifting gears from national championship to national.
Well, I heard you talking about. Well, I heard Adam and Clinton talking about it.
Yeah, you're right. I was on with Adam and Clinton on Race Rivals in their show earlier this week, and while I was waiting to get on, they were talking about that too. And I can tell you, a lot of truckers are race fans, and our supply chain, man, is severely broken, and there's no doubt this is going to make things worse with these mandates or whatever they're calling it for vaccines for the drivers. I remember at the onset of this pandemic, and the virus seemed to be like it was a lot more deadly at the time, and almost everything was closed along the roads for truckers, for everybody. And the truckers kept digging still, man. They kept delivering products for all of us across the border to the U.S., back from the U.S., and so on. And at that time, I can remember those guys and girls begging for places to open up so they could eat and to go to the bathroom. And nobody cared about them then, it seemed. And it was okay if they weren't vaccinated when it was in the most severe form. Vaccines weren't even available at that time. And then the vaccines started to roll out, but it was still okay. They could still deliver goods and no problem. And all of a sudden, our feds get this big idea that I say our feds because it's the U.S. feds as well, that all truck drivers got to be vaccinated and to cross the borders, that is. And I agree. We're not political here, but I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. I know you and I both have friends that are truckers, and in my opinion, truckers are our lifeblood in a sense. So thank you to them, and let's support their efforts. That's it. I'm done. That's my rant, buddy.
Well, listen, I will say that I think it's great you brought a little bit to light maybe how underappreciated the truckers really are. And I thank you all as well, if any of you are listening out there right now. And I'm glad you got that off your chest. And Alex, you have some very valid points here. And I know many people across the country feel that same frustration that you're feeling right now. I mean, for myself, in a small part, I have to travel for work. And for me, what drives me the most crazy is all the inconsistencies going on right now. It's really hard to even watch the news when you hear about this from here and that. It's really hard to take in right now. And anyway, I hope we can find some better solutions here soon for everybody.
I agree. Once again, thank you, truckers. Okay, let's get back on track here. Very important item. How is the cabbage diet going?
It's not a diet. It's a cleanse, Alex.
There's a difference?
I really don't think you want me to get into the details, do you?
probably not a good idea, but the more I think about it, if all you're eating is cabbage, I know you will be clean.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But the last thing before we get Shae on here, I was pretty surprised to get a text from you today that said I was a racer. What the heck is that all about?
I didn't really say you were a racer.
You did.
So listen, for people that don't know, Mark took his car in for repairs. I told him he had a wheel bearing going. Sure enough, it's both right side wheel bearings. So he's texted me, "What's going on here?" And I said, obviously,
isn't it unusual that both right sides go at the same time? Fair question.
It is a fair question. I think at that time I asked you if you trusted your mechanic. But anyways,
I do.
I said to you, you obviously are getting this racing thing down because you've been practicing turning left and loading up the right sides and wearing them out.
Yeah, just like a short track racer, I think you said.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And what'd you say?
Well, listen, I said I'm a driver, not a racer, because I thought we cleared that up in the last podcast.
Well, Joel Robinson cleared it up regarding JR. But yes, now that you understand what that's about, you're right. You aren't a racer. You're a driver.
Huh. All right. What do you think?
Yeah, let's get Shae on.
All right. Shae is standing by, so let's bring him in now and get the scoop on what he's up to this season. You can find Shae Gemmell by searching for him on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Welcome back to Driver in Deep, Shae.
Yes, thanks, Mark and Alex, for having me on again. We got some big news to share that just came upon us, and we're excited and thrilled to share it.
Awesome. Thanks, Shae. Like Mark said, appreciate you coming back on. I know you were on with us earlier, back in November, I believe. But yeah, and the cool part is you've asked and you're willing to break the news on your 2022 plans with us, and we really appreciate you choosing us to share that with our listeners.
Yeah, it's always good to be breaking some news on your podcast. It just means a lot for all our racers in this community to share some news. So without further ado, I'd like to say that I'll be racing full-time in the APC series for all 9 races with the Gemmell Racing No. 3 Pro Late model.
Wow, that sounds great.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So, who's your partners?
I'm thrilled to announce that I'll be having the APC Canusa Miami Muscle backing us as our primary sponsor. They were a primary sponsor back in our Superstock days in 2015, but I'm really, really proud to announce that they're going to be back on my Pro Late Model program and to be associated with them. And as well, all of you know that a lot of my family is a part of that business and that growing business, and I'm pleased to say that I'll be running their numbers and colors.
Wow, that sounds great. I'd be remiss if I didn't say this, but I noticed that you didn't make mention of North Country Property Management. Is that relationship over, or where are you at with that?
It's obviously a touchy subject, obviously, and this is the first time that I've actually come out and started to talk about it. But I have nothing but the best support from North Country Property Maintenance the last 6 years of my racing career. Personally, racing career, it's been a dream, but it's just come to the decisions that we have kind of gone to different paths for 2022, and our personal relationship is still there. It just seems like the racing venues has just gone separate ways, and I wish them nothing but the best in 22, and I'm just gonna keep with my head down and keep plugging away and keep trying to win races and championships.
Yeah, it's always tough when sometimes you change direction a little bit, and we know nothing lasts forever. But hearing what you just had to say about North Country, and also when you were on with us last year, it seems like it's been a great relationship, as you said, for both sides, and something that you'll always appreciate and remember fondly over the years, it sounds like.
Yes, for sure. Pat, Mary Ann, and their Corrado family have been almost like another mother and father to me, I guess you could say. Just had that relationship and built strong team support, and it is what it is. We're going to move on, and like I said, I wish them nothing but the best for 2022, whatever their new year is going to bring to them.
Yeah, well said. And I can tell you firsthand, good partners aren't easy to find, and when you do, and you're able to keep them for a long period of time, such as you did with people at North Country, you're doing something right. With your announcement, it always intrigues me why racers choose to race in a certain division or a series. What is it about late model racing that keeps you wanting more?
It's just the aspect of how the competition level is, how much effort everyone's putting into these programs, just in Ontario. Everyone's bringing the best that they can bring, best people they can bring, and trying to put together race teams and race programs that aren't over top of the edge, but they're still competitive enough, and that's what I like to be a part of.
So to expand on that a little bit, Shae, I've been wanting to ask this for a while now, but as a racer, you mentioned what you like about late models, but what is important to you when you're deciding what series you're going to commit to? For example, what does a series need to provide that makes you say, this is where I want to race? Is it TV or streaming coverage, maybe officials, competition, or is it something else?
It's more like it's the whole program. It's the fan base, obviously, the competitiveness, the professionalism. When you show up to the racetrack, you know what the series is going to be doing. You know what the schedule is going to be like. You know what the race day is going to be like. It makes your preparation that much easier if you're with a series that has it all kind of laid out in line before you even get to the racetrack. So you know what rules you know when you run. You know what tires you're going to be running. You know what program you're going to have, which then everyone can kind of get into a routine. And with running our smaller teams around here, that helps with our budgets and with our team budgets throughout the year.
Yeah, you were fortunate. Last year you got to race a NASCAR Pinty Series car a couple of times, and of course APC for quite some time, and APC again you're committed to. So you know that we have some top-notch series in our province that do just that. Plus, you haven't had a chance to get across the country, but out east in Quebec and out west, there's the same sort of thing going on. So, but yeah, that was a great question, Mark. It's I think I knew the answer to that, but it's great to hear it come from a competitor.
Yeah, well, once in a while I can pull one out of my ass, Alex. Shae, we had Kyle Steckley on us earlier this week.
Hang on a sec, especially right now with your diet or your cleanse, I guess.
No, we don't want to talk about that. I was away last week on a vacation, so I'm paying for it now. But anyway, as I said, we had Kyle Steckley on with us earlier in the week, and we also asked him this next question. Besides doing the full APC series, are you planning on doing any weekly racing or some other late model specials around the province?
For what our schedule is set out to be, it's like I said, it's the 9 races in the APC series. I'd like to see how my beginning of my season goes. If we can do the odd extra race and it's in the budget, I wouldn't mind to travel and supporting our local tracks, because that's how we get these big series to come, is to keep supporting our local tracks. I wouldn't mind trucking down just the 401, heading to the home track of Delaware Speedway, and I'd like to go down to Flamborough again. I always like running that Triple Crown event and like supporting what the Casellis do down there and what the Grisdale family does for Flamborough Speedway. It's always great, and let's just kind of take race by race for right now. I got a little one coming, another one coming in March, so I'll be pretty busy end of March into April, but hopefully by the end of April into May, when we start get ready for racing, we'll have a really good understanding of what our expectations are going to be for the season.
Yeah, starting a new program, if you want to say that. I mean, it's not a lot of it is new to you, but it's with the change. You have a new program, and that takes some, that it doesn't matter. Anytime you change, I don't care what anybody says, there's always a certain amount of catching up or getting used to certain things. And I'm sure that'll be, a learning curve per se. And I'm sure it'll be no different for you guys. So I have to ask you, with the second baby, does that mean, Papa Coxie might not have time to come help you at the racetrack?
I don't know. We'll have to see what's going on. He's got his hands pretty full right now with getting the car ready, and still working on his other modified too. So he's pretty busy. Oh, and we're getting the bone stocks ready to go again for next year. So my brother-in-law will be racing it. So we got a full field for next year, that's for sure.
And there's that infamous super stock that he says he has.
Yeah. if things get a little bit tight too, I think Alex isn't too busy these days. I'm sure he wouldn't mind giving you a hand.
Sure. That's I think the third time you offered my help this week.
I'm reading between the lines, Nagy.
So Shae, I know, if any opportunity came up this year, like any other time, and it was the right opportunity, I know that you would relish the opportunity to give something else a try. But for your plans for this coming season, what's your team's expectations?
Well, also with this year, we're going to be working with McCall Racing Enterprises a little bit more closely with them this year, with having the car still stored at my house, and so I'll be able in my shop so I can work on it. But we're going to be running a closer to home program with them, so I'm really looking forward to have a really good piece this year. But my expectations, I would still bring home a couple wins would be great, and I'm still trying to get that overall APC championship. We've been there for the last couple of years, about 3 or 4 of them, and we've always had good runs. You just got to be able to close it at the end there, and that's what my overall goal would be.
Yeah, and like you say, you've been close, and I'm sure that every time you make a change in your program like this, that sometimes you do it hoping that you end up better off, and you never know until you get knee deep in it. But I think that it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I mean, there's some different people coming into series full time. There's a couple that I think that are moving on with a new challenge, like Trayton Lapsevich and probably Brandon Watson. So, but it looks like there's not going to be any wasted spaces there with some new folks coming in. So the carousel continues, and the competition doesn't get any easier. That's for sure.
No, you're right, Alex. That's right. Just like you said, people will come and then people are going to go. But yeah, you're still going to have your 20 to 22 top running cars that are going to be fast at every single racetrack. And that's what I really like about this series is everyone's tough. Everyone's there to win. Everyone's there to win, but everyone that is there is going to be able to be in a position to win, which makes it that much tougher to be a part of. And I just like to give it my all and just to see what we can come up with.
Well, Shae, congratulations again on the new addition to your family coming, and it sounds like you have super exciting things planned for this year. We wish you the best of luck, and thanks again for sharing your news with us.
Well, we're wide open sideways.
All right, you're clear.